In this video on village attacks, we'll be going over the first phase of the game, the monster phase. This phase starts with the monster who holds the first player coin. At the beginning of every monster's turn, they roll their 6 dice, then place them onto their monster portrait. If the monster has 3 or more of the same dice result, they may choose to re-roll all dice of that facing. This includes those in the reserve. This type of roll may be repeated for as many times as 3 or more identical results are rolled. No dice are spent and no villager results are resolved until that monster has finished re-rolling. Dice results may be spent in whatever order the player so wishes. Whenever a result has been spent, it is removed from the portrait. If it has been spent in a way that does not allow placement, such as melee or ranged attacks, it is placed off to the side. Otherwise, it is placed in the appropriate space on the dashboard. Let's go over how to use each result. This is the villager activation symbol. Before the monster can spend any dice, these must be processed first. When this is rolled, a single villager from the zone furthest from the castle heart is moved 1 zone closer to the castle heart. If there are multiple villagers that meet this expectation, then the lesser villager activates first, peasants, then hunters, then town heroes. If there are 2 or more zones that contain lesser enemies that meet this expectation, assign 2 of these options to the coin and flip to see which lesser villager moves. If a monster rolls multiple villager results, they should try to resolve these with 1 coin flip instead of flipping for each villager activation result. Villager activations cause villagers to move 1 zone. If there is a case where all villagers are in the castle heart, then they attack. A monster may spend any dice on movement except for the villager result. When doing so, they assign the result to their movement stat on their dashboard. The monster cannot spend more dice on movement than what is shown here. Monsters may move 1 zone per die spent. In addition, monsters may only move to zones that are adjacent and have aligned doorways. Let's talk about hindered movement. If a monster's remaining health is not greater than the total number of villagers in a zone, then the monster is hindered and cannot leave the zone. Monsters only become unhindered once their health is greater than the number of villagers in the zone. Some monsters have abilities which allow them to move regardless of hindrance. In order to attack, either melee or ranged results will be used. The melee symbol deals 1 damage to an enemy in your current zone. The ranged symbol deals 1 damage to an enemy in an adjacent zone. When a peasant or a hunter is slain, villager morale is reduced by 1. Slaying a town hero reduces village morale by 2. Damage must be dealt to villagers in the following order: peasants, then hunters, then town heroes. This applies to all actions towards villagers. Some abilities will allow monsters to target villagers in a different order. These abilities feature the word choose. If there are multiple villagers of the same type in a zone, players decide which villager to target. Defense and retaliation results may be placed in the defense slots on the monster dashboard. A defense symbol blocks up to 2 damage from a single attack. Multiple defense symbols may not be used to block a single powerful attack. Also, defense symbols only block damage, never effects. The retaliation symbols do not block damage. Instead, they deal an equal amount of damage back to the attacker. Even if more than enough damage is dealt to slay the monster, retaliate still comes into effect. Just the same, enemies killed by retaliate reward experience to the monster. Dice results may also be used to purchase traps, as shown previously, as long as they have the proper die result. As indicated in previous videos, players may keep dice in reserve indefinitely. If the player so wishes, they may discard these and roll the dice at the beginning of their turn. Now, let's talk about abilities. In order to activate an ability, the monster must pay the cost displayed. If no cost is shown, then the ability is passive and activates automatically or is always in effect. Each ability may only be used once per round and last for the duration of the round. Effects of abilities end with the death of a monster, except for the abilities that place status effects on zones and villagers, like the Banshee's Comb Trap. As villagers are slain and objectives completed, experience is awarded to monsters and placed on their dashboards. Once a monster has experience tokens equal in value to their experience, they level up. They choose to either gain a new ability or upgrade an existing one. Once chosen, the spent experience is removed from the dashboard. Any new ability may be used immediately. An upgraded ability may be used again the same round it was upgraded, even if the lesser ability was already used. If an ability that has a persistent effect has been activated but then is upgraded, the cost of the ability must be spent again to reactivate it. Different villagers give different amounts of experience. Peasants and hunters give 1 experience, town heroes of a different type give 2, and town heroes of the same type give 3. Once a monster has purchased and upgraded all available abilities, level ups are used differently. Instead of gaining upgrades, they may remove 1 point of damage or a status condition from their own monster dashboard. Finally, we talk about monster death. If a monster receives enough damage tokens to equal their health, the monster is slain. All damage, experience, and status effects are removed from their dashboard, including dice symbols. The monster is then removed from the map and placed on the monster's dashboard. When the monster would next activate, it is placed on the castle heart, and the castle heart suffers 2 damage. If multiple castle hearts exist, the player may choose which one the monster revives in. Monsters must revive if able, unless doing so would reduce the castle heart health to 0. In this case, they cannot revive. If a monster is ever to be slain by an attack that also levels them up, they first gain experience and level up, and choose their ability before being slain. This concludes the monster phase. In the next video, we take a look at the villager phase. Thanks for watching.